Ladies and gentlemen, there is one reason and one reason only that you clicked on this video. It's because, wait, hang on. It's because some motherfuckers ice skating up here. But on a serious note, Blade has been getting severely underestimated. This character has been on the bottom of every tier list that I've seen, and I totally disagree with that placement. I think that this character is actually pretty damn good if you learn how to use him, and he's getting buffed in Season 4. So, while he's good, well, I think he's pretty okay now, he's going to be even better in the upcoming updates. So, Blade fans and also Twilight fans, if you want to play the most fun vampire in Marvel Rivals, I have got you. And step one to become a way better Blade player is actually incredibly simple. All you have to do is... Alright. Step two, like any game, if you want to learn a character, you take them into practice. Now, if you've never played Blade before, let me go over a very quick synopsis. I'm not going to go over his whole kit because by now you should probably know those things. But if you've literally never played the character before, I'll go over some very quick tips. Blade's gun, unironically, might be the most important part about his kit. I know he's named Blade and he's supposed to be a sword guy, but this gun is what makes good Blade players because it can actually do pretty decent damage if you're hitting your shots. This gun is also a really good brawl tool because you're able to do insane damage to the enemy tanks while not being too close to them. For a character with shotguns, you gotta be up in their face so everyone can be hitting you while you're hitting them. With Blade, you can be like 8 meters back and hitting them with the full damage of your shotgun spread, which can kill tanks in a pretty fast amount of time. If you're new to Blade, anyone who's not new to Blade very easily knows this. Don't ever, and I mean ever, use his sword. His sword is absolute buns. This sword is horrendous. You should never just bring his sword out and start using it. You have to use E. E is the only thing that makes his sword worth using. You should absolutely never, ever use that. One of the best drills that you can do as Blade, and one of the most important things you can do, is to learn his primary fire. Come down here to this control switch room, boot up some tanks, and just go for some aim practice. Just make them walk around in random intervals and try to practice this aim because you do have to lead your shots a little bit. It feels very similar to Magneto in a way, where you kind of have to lead your shots. You can't like just shoot wherever they're standing. You have to find out where they're going to be and aim the gun there instead. Also, if you guys have noticed, I chose this red X crosshair. You don't have to make it red, obviously. Some people find that confusing, but I chose this red X crosshair because it actually aligns really well with his primary fire. As you can see, it pretty much always hits inside this little X around the area where it fully explodes, which is really helpful for getting headshots and nailing down squishies. Now we're going to move into Blade's block, and this ability is very, very unique and fun to use, and people just don't really understand how it works. They think that it's very similar to an Iron Fist block, where if your block is out, you're immune to CC, you'll take pretty much 0 damage, and that's all it's used for. When in actuality, this block should be getting used not like a block, but as a parry. If you read the move list, it actually says parry with the Ancestral Sword to become unstoppable for a brief period. So what that means is, if I'm able to parry something like a Groot ult or any sort of CC, I take absolutely 0 CC whatsoever and I can just walk through it. I can parry Doctor Strange ult, I can parry Squirrel Girl, Squirrel, whatever that squirrel thing is that roots you. I can parry pretty much every ability in the game that has some sort of CC. So in that regard, while it is smart to use it kind of similarly to an Iron Fist block to get some dashes back, if you have your dashes, you shouldn't be holding this button pretty much ever. This is a much better tool to save for parries, to save for CC reduction, and to be a lot scarier with. You have to time this move correctly, and a lot of Blade players just kind of throw it out there. If you want to be good at Blade, you have to time your blocks correctly, and that just takes practice. Next up, we have Blade's dash ability, and I use this ability in 2 different, very distinct ways. First things first, if we're in a very brawly comp, if the enemy supports are keeping the tank alive and we're really struggling to take him down, I will pretty much not bring out my sword until the enemy tank is dead. What I will do is I will keep using my dashes on the tank, so that way he is consistently anti-healed. And the second the anti-heal goes away, I'll hit him with it again, keep shooting him, and then I'll block a little bit so I get enough back so I can keep anti-healing the tank. Anti-heal is such a disgustingly strong tool in this game, especially in those brawly comps, because the tank has 40% reduced healing when that happens, meaning that your team can blow him up so much easier, especially a character who doesn't have a whole lot of self-defense like Groot. If he's out of walls, this character will get obliterated the second you anti-heal him. However, another really good usage for Blade's dashes is assassination. Blade has one of the fastest assassination games in Marvel Rivals. Let's say I'm coming up on an invisible woman, she doesn't know I'm here, I'm able to flank her team. All I would have to do is get one good shot with the shotgun. That's why I said it's super important to practice with his gun. One solid shot with the shotgun and she pretty much guaranteed dies. That sequence is fantastic because not only do I take out one of the healers, but I can also block, get some dashes back, and go into my team, while if I don't even need to do that, I'm at 10 stacks of my sword, so I am an absolute menace in the backline, and they're missing a healer. So there's two options you could choose to do from that. You could either say, well, I've killed their healer, it's time to brawl and destroy their whole team, or I can leave now after blocking some damage because I just took enough time to where I could assassinate the healer and now the attention's on me. One incredibly interesting thing to keep in mind about this move, however, is that it actually does not work in every circumstance. You need to be consistently looking at them for the anti-heal effect to actually work. Let's say right here I've got a Strange and I hit him with my dash, but I'm not really looking at him when I hit him with it. What's going to end up happening is I'll hit him with the initial dash, but he doesn't get that anti-heal effect, and he takes pretty much 0 damage from it. So it's incredibly important as a Blade player to always have your eye on who you're trying to dash on, so that way you get the full effect. As a rule of thumb, I pretty much always try to keep my crosshair on whoever I am fighting, because that seems to be the kicker. It seems to be crosshair based, especially for the sword. This also gets messed up if you have a Strange with his shield up or a Magneto with his shield up, so you should be careful about playing Blade into shield characters, and you should break their shield first. Blade has incredible shield break. I can just sit here and wall up on Doctor Strange's shield with my shotgun, and the second that breaks, I can go in and start doing some anti-heal shenanigans on him. One thing I would keep in mind though is, since Blade is kind of a brawl type character, what I would be doing with this character is significantly more anti-heal. Anti-heal is such a strong thing in this game currently, and Blade is one of the only characters, if not the only character, who can do any sort of reduced healing. So if you want to get some real value out of the dash, you should use the anti-heal on the tanks or whoever has the most value as much as possible. Finally, we have Blade's E, which is when he goes vampire mode and brings out a sword, gets lifesteal and stuff like that. This is honestly a very, very strong part of his kit. The only problem with this is that you have reduced healing, so you can get shot down and killed a lot easier if you're not paying attention. As a good rule of thumb, I usually don't press E unless one of two conditions are met. Either A, I'm able to just keep on hitting their tank until I'm able to get up to like 10 stacks and I've still got 2 dashes. If you're at 10 stacks and you've got 2 dashes, you can pretty much erupt and destroy their entire backline very quickly. However, the other way that I like to use this, in the way that I use this more than most, is once somebody dies on their enemy team, once they're in any sort of disadvantage, this move becomes absolutely horrific, because you can go in the backline and consistently apply damage, consistently apply pressure, consistently keep healing, consistently chase anybody who's alive down because you have enhanced movement speed as well and your dashes. You are a backline machine in this form. The only issue is, like I said, you get that reduced healing, so it's a little bit harder to heal you and a little bit harder to keep you alive as a support player. But if you guys are already in the advantage, that usually won't matter, and you'll be able to pick off everybody one by one. The absolute biggest mistake that I see Blade players making is using this move incorrectly. They just use this more than anything. They kind of ignore his gun and barely use that, and they just want to go in there and brawl with his blade. As fun as that sounds, and as in character as that sounds, truth be told, it is still much better to just go in there with the gun and aim for the tanks at first and try to go for a more brawl style. Finally, we have Blade's ult, and honestly, there isn't too much to talk about with this move. If I were you, I would use this as much as possible, because Blade gets his ult back all of the freaking time. You will be ulting the enemy team a lot as Blade. However, there is a very important thing to make sure that you do every time before your ult, and that is E. If you press E and you go into this vampire mode before you ult, you'll actually be able to heal from your ultimate. See, as you guys can see right now, I have 25 health. If I go ahead and E and then ult, I will be able to refill pretty much all of my health just by killing all those guys in my ultimate. So you'll always want to have E active during ultimate, and pretty much no matter what situation you're in, unless you're forced to go early, you always want to charge it up just about halfway. Once your ultimate goes about halfway full, that's its maximum charge. You won't get any more charge than that, and charging up to max gives it so much, or full gives it so much distance that I recommend it every time. So go half, make sure it's that max distance, charge up to half every single time if you can. And that leads us into part 3, which is obviously Blade's playstyle. You have all of these moves, you know how they work now. How do you put them together to have a perfect playstyle? Is he an assassin? Is he a brawler? How do you play Blade? Well, to answer that question, it's actually very interesting. Blade is not an assassin. He is not a brawler. He is not he's not any of these things. He is all of them combined into one character. He is really good at peeling, so let's say somebody's going after your healers. You can very easily anti-heal them and get them off your healers using your dash abilities. Let's say you're in a brawl comp. This is the best case scenario for Blade. You can pretty much just keep bullying their tank, keep anti-healing their tank, wait for their tank to die, and the second their tank is dead, pull out your sword and get rid of their whole team. If they've got healers who are always in the open, you can pretty much just go assassinate one of them always, very easily, like very quickly, very easily. You can block their CC, you can get all your dashes back, you can get in the backline and go crazy. The best part about Blade as a Blade player is that this character has no set playstyle. This character can fit into any team comp anywhere because he can do anything. He is a jack of all trades. And with that comes the knowledge of how to use your character in every single game. You can't just go in there doing the same things expecting the same results. Blade is a very, very unique character in that you have to say, in this situation, who's killing our team the most? Is it the Panther? Let me focus him and let me peel. Who's killing our team the most? Is it the Strange? Let me brawl, let me focus him. Who's hurting our team the most? Is it their supports? Let me focus their supports. You have the chance to literally control the entire game based on your kit because of how many things Blade can do. Now it's up to you as the player to say, what can I do with these tools and use them correctly every single game. All in all, if you know the tank's about to die and you want to see the full Blade combo in action, here's exactly what I would do. Get him up to 10, and then once you're to 10, you can kind of start ignoring the tank and go into the backline. Blade's sword doesn't do any percentage health damage. It's not like Iron Fist or Wolverine, so you do a lot better when you're not targeting tanks and you're targeting squishies. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching today's Blade Guide. If you enjoyed, please do me a huge favor, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. All those things will tremendously help my YouTube channel out, and I hope to see you guys tonight on my channel. I will be streaming, so link in the description for that. And yeah, appreciate you guys for watching, and peace out.